Did you know that more than half of the women in the US use hair relaxers at some point in their lives? I'm sure we all love to keep our hair sleek and straight, right? But sometimes some products can do more harm than good. Now, this might sound shocking, but serious investigations are into certain brands of hair relaxers. And yes, you heard it right. Legal action is also on the horizon. But don't worry, I'm here to break it down for you in the simplest terms possible. Hello, everyone. My name is Sandra Maria Gumansing, and in this video, I'll discuss the hair relaxer investigation and the lawsuit that has been making headlines recently. Stick around and find out if this could affect you or someone you know and what actions are being taken to protect consumers like us. Scientists have been busy doing lots of research. What they've discovered is quite startling. Turns out the chemicals found in hair straightening products, or hair relaxers as you might know them, can lead to uterine cancer or cancer of the uterus. And of course, your uterus is that pear-shaped organ in the reproductive system of females. It's where a fertilized egg implants during pregnancy and where your baby develops until birth. It's also responsible for your menstrual cycle. But what does this all mean? Well, some women who have been using these hair relaxers for a long time were informed by their doctors that they had uterine cancer. Now, most believe there's a connection between their illness and those relaxing products they use for their hair. I myself got nervous when I heard this, as I have been using these same relaxers all my life, and this news is incredibly concerning. It's scary to think that something as harmless as trying to manage my curly hair could possibly lead to such a serious health issue. Hair relaxers are filled with different chemicals that we use to make curly hair sleek and straight, and they do this by getting into the protein bonds that shape the hair. But some of these chemicals could mess with your body's natural systems. These chemicals, which could be causing some trouble, are known as endocrine disrupting chemicals, or EDCs for short. The job of the endocrine system in our bodies is kind of like a hormone factory. It makes, stores, and then sends out the hormones around the body. EDCs from hair relaxers can get into our bodies through any small cuts, burns, or sores on our scalps. When we use often hair relaxers, we might be increasing the chance of getting certain types of cancers that are linked to estrogen, a hormone. These cancers could include endometrial cancer and uterine cancer. And as I just mentioned, hair relaxers penetrate the hair's layers, the cuticle, and the cortex, loosening and ultimately straightening the hair's natural curls. They do this by breaking and then reforming the disulfide, the bonds inside the cortex layer of the hair, while the hair is set in a straight pattern. This process permanently straightens the hair, making a hair relaxer treatment kind of like a reverse curling iron. The thing that makes these amazing products work is usually a strong alkali. However, some brands might use formaldehyde or ammonium thioglycolate, so it's always good to check the ingredients. Now, while they can give you sleek, straight hair, hair relaxers can also cause some mild to pretty serious side effects. On the scalp, you might experience burns, scabbing, dandruff, irritation, rashes, hair loss, thinning hair, and even the early arrival of gray hair. Your hair might suffer too with issues like split ends, breakage, frizziness, knots, and difficulty in detangling. I remember regularly getting burns when relaxing the hair from those relaxers and always being told it was no big deal. But it's not all just surface level stuff. Some of the more serious side effects can include some really scary things, not only cancers, but other serious diseases. And ladies, if you are reaching for those chemical straighteners more than 4 times a year, scientists say we could be roughly 2.5 times more likely to end up with uterine cancer. So it's something worth thinking about. And there's a chance that Black women might face a higher risk of getting sick from the chemicals in hair relaxers and EDCs, because not only are they targeted to us, a study done by the National Institutes of Health, which is kind of like a health detective agency, they found that about 60% of the people in their study who had used these chemical straighteners in the past year were Black women. And there's been a growing number of women finding out they have uterine cancer. And now that's downright scary. But hang on. Do you want to know what's even scarier? The people who make these hair relaxers continue production like nothing's happened. And that's getting a lot of people very, very annoyed and angry. And now people are taking action. Many lawsuits have sprouted up all over the place against these careless hair relaxer manufacturers, and they're getting sued big time. But this isn't just happening in one small courtroom. It's all getting filed together into what's called a multi-district litigation, or MDL for short, in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois. The legal case connected to hair relaxers causing cancer involves several parties at fault. You may recognize some of these names. These wrongdoers are doing business that produce cosmetics, and they have knowingly put out hair straightening products filled with harmful cancer-causing chemicals. Moreover, they didn't bother to alert the people who use their products about a likely health hazard that could lead to uterine cancer. Now, the folks being accused in this lawsuit relating to cancer caused by hair relaxers include a list of familiar companies. We have names like L'Oreal and Soft Sheen Carson, which produces Optimum Relaxer, Dark and Lovely, Just for Me, and that one is targeted to little girls, and Motions Hair. Also included are ORS Hair Care, also known as Namaste Laboratories LLC, and African Pride, which is a part of the Godrej Group. Scientists are still studying endocrine disrupting chemicals, uterine cancer, and hair relaxers extensively, and this is all part of a larger topic known as environmental health, which basically looks at how environment affects our health. We've talked about EDCs earlier, but there are also other things called carcinogens, which is just a fancy way to say something that causes cancer. Things like secondhand smoke or toxins in the air from cars can be considered carcinogens. These things don't just come from cars, they can also show up in our water supply or food. Now, I was wondering, how do we even know if something is causing us some harm? Is there a way to test for these chemicals in our bodies? Or maybe there are warning signs that something might be off with our health due to these external factors? Well, scientists have come up with a way to measure the amount of EDCs and other harmful substances in our bodies. It's called biomonitoring, and it basically involves taking samples like blood, urine, or hair from individuals and testing them for the presence of certain chemicals. Biomonitoring has shown that many people have high levels of EDCs in their bodies, which is a cause for concern. It's important to educate ourselves about these chemicals, their effects on our health, and how we can reduce our exposure to them. Some steps you can take to limit your exposure include opting for natural hair care products instead of chemical relaxers, using organic cleaning and beauty products, avoid plastic containers and food packaging that may contain harmful chemicals, and regularly getting fresh air and exercise. Unfortunately, the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, has not been able to meet its target date for suggesting a prohibition on formaldehyde in items used to straighten hair. This has raised a few eyebrows, given that there are potential connections between the substance and the scary disease of cancer. The lack of regulation in this industry is definitely concerning, especially when we consider the potential health risks involved. But we can make a difference by educating ourselves and others about the dangers of harmful chemicals in hair relaxers and other beauty products. And I continue to do some research. Let's make sure that we're not just beautiful on the outside, but healthy on the inside too. Our bodies deserve it. Have you ever thought about the potential health risk involved in using these hair relaxers? Are you still using them? Share your thoughts and experiences with me. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this.